Hey everybody, Doug Rucker here with PressureWashingSchool.com and DougRuckerStore.com. Hey, just want to kind of do a quick video. Raimondo and I are out in the shop today and we're talking about the Kingslingers and guys that sometimes have an air leak. And so we're just going to show you a quick and easy way to do a quick repair to get you back up and running when you're on the job, and then also a good way to, kind of a fun way to diagnose where the air leak may be coming from. So stay tuned for that coming up next. Hey, before I get into the video, real quick, just another reminder about our September school coming up September 9th and 10th, right here in Houston, Texas. That's our hands-on training and classroom training that we do once a month for the last 10 years right here in Houston, Texas. And then a reminder also about the online video school. If you can't make it out here, you can learn online with over 250 something videos that I've built up over the last 10 or 12 years. So that's available too. It'll drastically help you cut your learning curve, and you can also just do it from the comforts of your home. And then also coming up, the Difference Makers Business Conference. That's coming up February 6th and 7th of next year, 2025. I'm posting it up early because I know this thing is going to get packed and we're going to have to shut off attendance once it gets to a certain point. So make sure you go to PressureWashingSchool.com for all of those events and get registered for that Difference Makers Business Conference. Jeffrey Blackman, myself, Ray Burke will be there, Pat Clark, Mitch Beckman, a lot of you guys remember him. Kelsey will also be there, our accountant. Just going over a lot of things about the business, how to get commercial sales, how to get government contracts, all of that kind of stuff. Building relationships. So it's all about your business, nothing about how to clean or anything like that. So you definitely want to attend that. And so again, PressureWashingSchool.com for all of that information. All right, guys, so I'm here with Raimondo in the shop, and he had a customer the other day he was working with that had a leak in one of his valves. And so he kind of helped him on the phone figure out how to determine where the leak was coming from, and then also a quick and easy way to repair it there in the field so he could get back up and running. And so this is the valves here, and so anywhere there's a connection you can sometimes get an air leak, especially between any of the threaded fittings, and that can happen due to the bleach. It can happen just from the vibration of over time driving down the road, things just, you know, kind of come loose or whatever.
They crack.
So yeah, they crack. In the past, probably 2 or 3 years ago, we used to do the valve fittings like this. We used the female check valves. And so what we would do is use these little nipples to connect the 90 or the cross piece down below and the valve up above. And so when you had a connection here and a connection here, you had 4 points of places where you could have a leak. And I've got a video we'll put up in the card here that I discussed this before that will help you also. So what I did about 3 years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago, maybe longer than that, maybe 4 years ago, went to male. I had these made up, and these are male pipe threads. So now we can connect the valve and the cross piece down below, or the spacer, depending on which valve it is. But there's only 2 opportunities for a leak now. So what can happen sometimes is these can get soft from the bleach use, and they'll just kind of start crack, and sometimes they'll just come apart.
Yes.
Right, Raimondo? Same thing with these fittings. Same thing would happen with these, but again, there was 4 places that could happen. So we went to these because it eliminated a source for a possible air leak, and then we also saved some space and of course saved some money by not buying extra fittings, which we pass all of that on to our customers. Anyway, that's kind of an update of what we went to, and now I'm going to let Raimundo show you a quick and easy way if something like this happens. Now, the important thing to know is if you're going to have something like the Kingslinger, a 12-volt system, anything with a blend system like these, you have to have spare parts. I mean, you need to have at least one spare valve. You need to have spare check valves, fittings, all that kind of stuff. You almost have to have a whole new system just in parts, or at least a few of the parts, so that if you do have something that breaks or cracks or whatever, you can replace it. You need to have a spare pump on standby. If you blow your pump or your pump stops working or whatever, you got to be able to change it out quickly so you can get right back to work, not have to order one and wait 2 to 4 days to get it. So Raimundo's going to show you real quick here how to do a temporary repair using some simple little parts to get you back up and running. All right, Raimundo, so show him how you helped that guy the other day.
So he had the crack on the check valve, so I told him to eliminate that check valve, take this 90 off, and I told him to go get a plug. You can get any plug, any hardware store or Home Depot or somewhere that you can get them locally. Or if you have one, they're 1/2 inch plugs. And I told him just to plug that side off, put some True Blue, seal the gap, and use the third valve. Just put his bleach line through here and use these 2 lines, one for water, one for bleach. And that way he could run for the rest of the day, finish the job he was working on. And it worked great. So it's better to have a plug with you all the time. Try to have one.
So this is a poly plug, this is PVC, this is basically steel. You could use one of these steel plugs, but you would only want to use it temporarily because the bleach is going to eat it through pretty quick. And again, this whole thing is just kind of a temporary repair, that if you had a plug like this on your truck or trailer and you had a problem in here with your check valve or a leak anywhere, that's a quick and easy repair to just take this valve off, because this is normally our bleach valve, and then plug that, and you're eliminating where the air leak is coming out. When we use these Kingslingers, it's got 3 valves. And so this third valve we don't use. We always just use this for wrap if we're going to do oxidation restoration, or if we're going to use wrap for cleaning gutter stripes, degreaser for parking lots, whatever. This is a separate valve that we use either as a backup or, like I said, to spray a different chemical. We add our soap to our bleach tank, so we don't have to have a third tank, and we don't have third plumbing to a hose. We just have a supplemental hose kit that comes off and goes into our bucket, or we can take a little smaller tank if we wanted to. So this is our bleach valve, this is our water valve, and our water valve, of course, is always staying open, and then we just our bleach here. So if you wanted to do the repair he's talking about, all you have to do is take this fitting off, just unscrew it, and then this is going to come out, and then you can just take it apart and take it off of the station.
Yes.
Correct?
Well, they can just take this one off, because the valve, well, actually, they don't have to do nothing with the valve.
Right.
Because this one's already broken.
Correct.
So all they need to do is just take this 90 off and plug it.
And plug it. So they could just leave everything right there.
Or it can be this one on top, or...
Right. So this one here we have bolted back here so it's stable and keeps this thing nice and tight. But yeah, if this check valve is causing the air leak and those fittings in here are cracked, then you could just unscrew your valve down here at the bottom, remove that part, and then remove the 90, plug it, and you're good. So that's a quick and easy, good way to repair it out on site using the plug. All right, guys, one other thing I want to make sure that you understand on these, and when I talk about this religiously to people, this pump has a flow rating of 100 psi. You can only, or pressure rating of 100 psi. So you don't want to have the pressure on the regulator of your air compressor set at higher than probably 90 to 95, just to be on the safe side. If you run it more than 100 for, you know, even at a limited amount of time, that's too much pressure, and it's eventually going to blow the bladders. So it's going to deform it like this. It can tear it. We've seen them torn. And so when that happens, you'll get a spraying out of your gun. It'll be a kind of a violent type noise with a lot of air behind it. This is another one that's a new one there. So that's how a new one should look. And this is how you can see how that's deformed in there. So it's blown the bladder, and it can't operate properly. If you have an air leak, normally coming out of your nozzle is going to be a spit, like a psst, 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 psst. And the amount of time in that, between that spitting, usually is indicative of how large your air leak is, somewhere around here. So I say all that to say, if you have a violent spray, like I was saying a while ago, and here's my sound effect again, like that, that's a sign of either a really, really, really large leak, which is never happens, or you've blown the pump because of too much pressure. So keep the pressure gauge, and we'll show you that in just a second, at under 100. I suggest right around 90 to 95. Okay guys, a quick and easy way that we diagnose air leaks in the manifolds and the valve stems is, you know, you can always just shut off each valve to figure out which valve is leaking, and then do one valve at a time. But sometimes you just can't pinpoint the air leak. So we use this little adapter we made up. It's basically a cam lock fitting, and then we have a half-inch male thread 90 steel fitting coming up to 1/4 inch, and then we have our air fitting that we connect the air hose off the Kingslinger to. And then we only have a little bit of pressure built up, and all we're going to do over here is we're going to put this hose on here. Go ahead and put that on. And we're making sure our air is off over here on the toggle switch until we're ready. And then we're just going to turn the valve. And what we've done is we've already loosened that little bolt down there. You can see it dripping. But that's just to simulate and show you how well this will work.
They got to make sure the water valve's off, or either valve.
Correct. So you got to turn that.
That doesn't matter.
Oh, that's right. That doesn't matter. This doesn't matter because we're going direct to the valve. So, all right, so he's going to go ahead and turn that, and you'll see down below the water, he's putting a little bit of pressure to it, and you can see the water moving in the hoses, and so you can see it start leaking. So sometimes what will happen is you'll see the leak up here, the water will start coming out of there, bleach, whatever you're doing, somewhere in that fitting, and that will help you determine where exactly the leak is.
They can see bubbles here. So if they see bubbles through the blue hose,
yep,
that means they have an air leak through the manifold.
So take your nut driver and tighten that back up. So sometimes it's just as simple as tightening a hose clamp or whatever. But guys, you got to make sure that you're not putting a lot of pressure through here. You can't do it with full pressure built up in the system. And we just barely turn that just until we hear a little bit of air coming through, because that's all you need to start seeing the water dripping or feel the air coming out. So be careful, because if you put too much pressure through here, you don't know how to do this, then don't do it. But you could damage the check valve, and then you got to replace everything. So, and then make sure your gun is closed, and also make sure the pressure is released in your line.
The reason it has to be closed is because they want to build pressure in the line. That way, whenever it's closed, it's going to build pressure into the manifold, then it's going to start leaking.
Right.
If
Good
it's
point.
losing the pressure to the gun, it's not gonna create the pressure inside the lines, the hoses, or the fittings.
Good point. Okay. So simple, easy way using the equipment you have to find an air leak. And that's how we do it most of the times when guys come in here, is we'll just do a quick little test to see if we can, to get the air leak revealed. Okay guys, hope this has been helpful for y'all. If you have any questions, just feel free to email us at info@dougruckerstore.com. You can also call us at 281-612-1223. And just again, don't forget September 6th and 7th, hands-on. We've got the online video school. And then February 6th and 7th in February of next year is the Difference Makers Business Conference. So pressurewachingschool.com for all of that information. Thanks again. Y'all have a very, very blessed day.